So in our next section now, we've got some idioms to move the needle. This is to generate a significant, noticeable, or measurable impact on a business metric or situation. For example, small cost-cutting measures will not suffice. Not suffice, it means it is not enough, not adequate. So small cost-cutting measures will not suffice. We need a flagship product that will truly move the needle. Despite a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign, the new launch failed to move the needle on market share. So in context, the marketing team realized that micro-influencer campaigns were generating brand awareness, but failed to move the needle on actual retail sales. To drive measurable revenue growth, the executive board redirected the budget toward an aggressive nationwide holiday discount structure and primetime television advertisements. This high-impact strategy successfully shifted consumer behavior, resulting in a 30% spike in quarterly transactions, and proving that a larger centralized push was necessary to impact the company's bottom line. So a spike, if there's a 30% spike, this is an increase, a very sharp, sudden increase in a trend. And the bottom line is the most important factor in something. It could be the bottom line is your required target. The bottom line is what you need to make profit on something, what the company needs. The most important factor can be used in negotiations too. Your bottom line is your absolute requirement. Next up, we have to put the cart before the horse. This is to reverse the proper logical or strategic order of tasks or decisions. Allocating a capital budget before completing the market feasibility study is putting the cart before the horse. We are putting the cart before the horse by designing the marketing campaign before finalizing product specifications. So we can see here that to put the cart before the horse, it's saying that it's not logical, it seems a bit stupid. So in context, the tech startup began hiring a large customer success team before they had even finished building their prototype app, completely putting the cart before the horse. Without a working product on the market, the new employees had no user issues to resolve or technical bugs to troubleshoot. Management soon realized they had reversed the logical order of operations. They needed to focus their capital on software engineering first, before scaling up their support staff. So let's just draw your attention to scaling up. So scaling up, a nice word that can be used in many situations in business, in meetings. To scale up is to make something bigger, to increase it, put more resources to it. So make it larger. We look at tech companies in particular, let's say with a startup, they start small and then, depending on the company, they could scale up quite quickly. So everything grows, production increases, staff increases, perhaps premises. They also need to scale up the premises if they have more employees. Next up, we have read between the lines. It's to look for, understand, or infer a hidden meaning or unexpressed intention that is not explicitly stated. To infer is to use the information that you have from what you hear. This is very important in negotiations. We have to read between the lines. So we need to hear, to infer what the person is actually trying to say, what the actual requirement is. Reading between the lines of the competitor's quarterly report, they are likely preparing for a massive divestment. Experienced leaders read between the lines of employee feedback surveys to gauge true organizational morale. Let's have a look in context. So during the tense geopolitical negotiations, diplomats had to carefully read between the lines of the Prime Minister's official press release. While the public statement loudly praised the historic ceasefire agreement, it notably omitted, left out, didn't include, any mention of removing troops from the disputed border zones. By analyzing the strategic silence rather than the written text, international observers correctly deduced that military tensions remained incredibly high, despite the public display of peace. Next up we have is to keep your cards close to your chest. This is to be highly cautious, secretive, or discreet about your strategies, intentions, or negotiating positions. During the initial merger discussions, both chief executives kept their cards close to their chests, so they were very discreet, very perhaps secretive. It's critical to keep our cards close to our chests until the patent application is officially secured. During the high-stakes acquisition talks, the tech CEO, so Chief Executive Officer, decided to keep his cards close to his chest regarding the company's upcoming AI patent. While the rival firm pushed for full disclosure during the initial valuation meetings, he revealed only basic financial metrics and operational data. By withholding the proprietary source code and technical benchmarks until the final contract was drafted, he prevented the competitors from stealing the architecture or driving down his selling price before the deal was locked in. So to be locked in means to be finalized, to become binding. Next up, we have to hit the ground running. This is to start a new venture, project, or executive role immediately with maximum energy, efficiency, and productivity. The newly appointed Chief Operating Officer, COO, is expected to hit the ground running on day one. We provided the consultancy firm with all necessary data beforehand so they could hit the ground running. Beforehand means before they started. The new project manager knew she had to hit the ground running on her very first day at the engineering firm. Because the client's construction deadline was only 3 weeks away, she bypassed the usual multi-day orientation process and dove straight into the active blueprints. By noon, she had already met with the lead architect, resolved a critical supply chain bottleneck, and reassigned tasks to keep the team on schedule without losing a single day of momentum. So to dive into, the infinitive. To dive into something means to jump into it. It's to go directly to that. Core competency. Okay, we're looking now at more strategic phrases in our section 4. The core competency is a defining capability or advantage that distinguishes an enterprise from its competitors. We should divest from our peripheral logistics operations and focus entirely on our core competency of software development. The executive team identified proprietary data analytics as our primary core competency. Let's have a look in context. The logistics giant decided to outsource its customer service and tech support operations so it could focus entirely on its core competency, global supply chain management. While the company excelled at tracking freight, optimizing delivery routes, and managing warehouse robotics, its internal IT departments were slow and expensive to maintain. By handing those secondary technical tasks over to specialized third-party firms, the corporation freed up capital to expand its shipping fleet and dominate its primary market. So having a look at, in bold, while the company excelled. So again, see it's showing us our contrast here. While the company excelled at tracking freight, its internal IT departments were slow and expensive to maintain. Next up, we have disruptive innovation. This is an innovation that creates a new market and value market, eventually disrupting and displacing established market leaders. The committee is evaluating whether this new blockchain startup poses a threat of disruptive innovation to our business model. Management must foster an internal culture of disruptive innovation to prevent obsolescence. The rise of digital streaming platforms serves as a textbook example of disruptive innovation within the entertainment industry. Initially, these services offered low-quality video and limited catalogs compared to established cable networks and video rental giants. However, by leveraging internet convenience and cheap subscription models, they captured an overlooked segment of tech-savvy users before rapidly improving their technology. Eventually, this shift completely redefined consumer expectations, making traditional physical rentals obsolete and forcing massive media conglomerates to completely overhaul their business models to survive. So we have a lot of nice vocabulary in here. Let's start with leveraging. By leveraging internet convenience, to leverage something is to make use of it to strengthen your point. And an overlooked segment. If something is overlooked, it means it's something you ignore. It's not your main focus. You are looking elsewhere. Tech savvy. Savvy means that you know a topic very well. You have a lot of expertise in it. And to completely overhaul their business models to survive. So to overhaul is to completely change. So it's to pivot, to change direction, and completely redo something. Almost like starting from scratch, starting from the beginning, and overhauling it. Next up, fiduciary duty. A legal and ethical obligation to act solely in the best financial and strategic interest of another party. The board has a strict fiduciary duty to reject any acquisition bid that undervalues the company's assets. Mismanaging corporate funds is a direct and severe breach of an executive's fiduciary duty. So to breach something is to go beyond the limits, beyond the borders of it. The investment fund manager faced a severe lawsuit for breaching his fiduciary duty to his clients. Instead of managing the retirement portfolios with the promised caution and care, he secretly funneled millions of dollars into high-risk startups owned by his close relatives. Because his legal obligation required him to act solely in the best financial interests of his investors, using their capital to benefit his own family constituted a direct violation of that trust, leading to his immediate termination, he was fired, and a formal regulatory investigation. Here we have corporate governance. This is the systemic framework of rules, relationships, systems, and processes by which corporations are directed and controlled. Institutional investors are demanding greater transparency and stricter corporate governance from the leadership team. Our updated corporate governance policy outlines clear ethical boundaries for executive compensation. Following a series of accounting irregularities, the Board of Directors implemented a strict new corporate governance framework to restore investor trust. The updated policy introduced independent oversight committees, enforced transparent financial reporting standards, and separated the roles of CEO and chairman to prevent a concentration of power. By establishing these clear rules, practices, and accountability mechanisms, the firm ensured that executive decisions would align directly with the long-term interests of shareholders and regulatory bodies. So to align directly with something, it means that it is working with it, alongside it. Let's just have a look at oversight as well. Introduced independent oversight committees. So remember we talked earlier about to overlook. So to overlook is to not see something. But oversight is different. Oversight is like the big picture. A bird's eye view is another idiom. So it's to see everything. To provide oversight is to supervise and be sure of everything that is going on. Next up we have economies of scale. This is the proportionate saving in costs gained by an increased level of production or operational throughput. Consolidating our manufacturing facilities into a single megaplant will allow us to achieve massive economies of scale. Small startups often struggle to compete with legacy enterprises because they lack the necessary economies of scale. Let's have a look at it in context. So remember we talked about to scale up is to increase something, to make it bigger. So here we're talking about economies of scale. By expanding its production facilities from a single regional plant to 3 automated factories, the auto manufacturer achieved massive economies of scale. In the past, purchasing steel in small quantities kept the raw material cost per vehicle exceptionally high. However, by doubling its production volume, the company negotiated steep volume discounts on bulk metal, optimized factory floor robotics, and spread fixed overhead costs across millions of units, allowing them to slash the final retail price of their electric cars and undercut competitors. So it's a nice example here in context, talking about economies of scale. So scaling up, but scaling up with an economy of scale. So buying in bulk. They talk about bulk metal. When you buy in bulk, you buy in large quantities. We looked at earlier at slash. So to slash the final price means to cut it, but it's a big cut to slash. And to undercut your competitors, this is what you want to do. You want to perhaps offer your product at a cheaper price, so you undercut your competitors. If their price is 10 euros per unit and yours is 9 euros per unit, you undercut them.